Namaskar and welcome to Sansad Television. I am Vishal Dahiya and you're watching our show In Focus, where we bring you detailed analysis of key national and international issues as well. Today we're going to talk about the Cinematograph Amendment Bill 2023 and the issue of piracy. Now, India is the world's largest producer of films and this industry is growing rapidly. However, piracy is in the entertainment and music industry has been a problem for decades now, leading to huge revenue losses for this sector. Aiming to curb piracy in film content and protect the creative industry, Union Cabinet on Wednesday approved the Cinematograph Amendment Bill 2023. Information and Broadcasting Minister Anurag Thakur has said that this bill has been drafted after thorough consultation with the stakeholders and incorporating best practices and will be introduced in the next session of Parliament. He also said it will prove to be a revolutionary step towards promoting Indian films and helping local content go global. According to reports, the bill has provisions for categorizing films based on age group rather than the current practice of UA and UA. Besides improving the process to certify films by the CBFC, that is the Central Board of Film Certification, the amendments also seek to bring about uniformity in the categorization of films and content across various platforms. So today, we'll try and understand how the government is planning to go ahead and tackle the issue of piracy in this sector and what does the Cinematograph Amendment Bill 2023 seek to go ahead and do. And for more on this, we're joined by a distinguished panel of experts. Let me first introduce them to you, beginning with Mr. Apurva Chandra is joining us. He's Secretary, Ministry of Information and Broadcasting. Welcome, Mr. Chandra, to our show. We're also joined by Akshaditya Lama. He's a film director and member of Censor Board of India, and Mr. Karan Taurani, Senior Vice President of Elara Capital, is also with us. Welcome, all of both of you as well to Sansad Television. I'll begin with you, Mr. Chandra. I pointed out, some key aspects of this bill, and which has been, in deliberation and discussion for quite some time with all stakeholders. If you could give us a holistic picture of what the bill seeks to do and through which provisions, what are the various clauses which are specifically aimed at piracy and other aspects as well.
Thank you. I think you have already mentioned what the Minister has said yesterday. And this earlier, actually, the bill was introduced in Parliament in 2019. And that time, there was an extensive consultation process. And that time, the Standing Committee also went through and also met a lot of film producers and film personalities and thereafter gave its recommendation. And that time, it was a single section amendment, which was to prevent camcording in theatres. And after a lot of consultations, deliberations, it has now finally been decided that to extend those provisions and to also include transmission of films on internet.
Okay.
Cinematographic content on internet, which will also be construed, which we commonly know as piracy, and that also to be define it as an offence. So, of course, the bill is to be introduced in the Parliament. It is subject to the approval of the Parliament, so it is not appropriate to go into great details of what the bill will be, because it is going to be introduced in the Parliament. But we feel that this additional provision, along with the provision of camcording, would go a long way in tackling the problem of piracy, because then it gives a tool to the government to block such channels where pirated content is being transmitted.
Okay. Yes, please go ahead, Mr. Chandra.
Also, it is basically the Copyright Act which deals with the issues of piracy. But under the Cinematograph Act, we will get the power to take action under the IT Act to block such channels.
Okay. That's a fair enough clarification. In fact, I was coming to that part only because the Standing Committee recommendations, a few of them were talking about the penal provisions in the Act as well. But as you said, the bill will have to come before the Parliament. We'll have to wait and watch for that as well. Another aspect of the bill, Mr. Chandra, if you could throw some light on that, that is about the certification process also. There also seems to be, indications that there is a change in that regime being brought in as to how the content will be certified for various section of users. Why the need for that and how are we going about it?
One of the changes which you mentioned was regarding the UA category, because now it has been sub-classified into three categories: UA 7+, UA 13+, and UA 16+. And this has brought it in line with what the commonly common categories are there on the OTTs, and internationally also these are the categories which are largely available. So the Indian certification process will now be in line with what the international practices are. And within the UA, the onus is on the parents, not on the theatre owners or on the filmmakers. But it is a guidance to the parents that this may be appropriate more for 13 plus or 16 plus or 7 plus, rather than a UA category which becomes very broad, which goes from children to up to 18. So it becomes more of a guidance whether they what sort of content is being shown in that particular movie.
Okay.
Then the other amendments are regarding the certification now being lifelong rather than just for 10 years. There will be no need for getting a film recertified after 10 years. And thirdly, it is a possibility that you can take one certification for the films of a film for the exhibition in theaters, and you may take another certification with after deleting some content or making some changes for the TV audiences or others, a different category. So that also has been allowed in this act.
Okay. Let me bring in now the other two panelists as well and seek their views on these two aspects, the key aspects of this particular bill. Mr. Lama, I'd like to first bring you in, and let's start with the last point which Mr. Chandra made vis-a-vis the certification and categorization of films and content across platforms. What's your view on that? This entire change in the process, what kind of positivity or what kind of aspect will it add to the entire system which is now governing the categorization?
First of all, I would like to congratulate the government and the IMD ministry in particular that it was a long demand from our industry. So this will help actually theatre owners, filmmakers, everyone, because since it was like there are certain restrictions for films which are shown on the theatre. And there are films which are shown on this OTT platform. There was no as such censorship was. I'll not use this word censorship, but certification. So definitely this is going to help. Now people are. This is, I think, and this is as per the international practice, international standard, and it was actually long awaited. If you see, then the first time when this Cinematography Act came in, I guess it was in 1918. Then in 1928 and 1952. After that, there was no amendment. There was amendment, but yeah, this is it's a big step, I will say, and definitely it's going to help a lot, and it will benefit. We filmmakers will definitely be benefited from this this amendment.
Okay. Let me now bring in Mr. Taurani here as well. Mr. Taurani, the other aspect, the issue, the larger issue or a major issue facing the industry is the issue of piracy. The way, as Mr. Chandra was pointing out, and we heard earlier the Information Broadcasting Minister as well pointing very clearly that the issue of piracy will be dealt very effectively and firmly with these changes. So what is it that the industry has been looking forward to in terms of dealing with the menace of piracy?
Right. Hi. So if you look at the industry, I think we've seen a big change in terms of, the content consumption across forms of mediums, whether you call it TV, OTT, and cinema. The habits and the consumption patterns of the audience have changed in the post-COVID era, and they have moved more favorably for digital, which has kind of impacted linear TV consumption and cinema consumption as well. Now, what has happened here in these two things, one is, of course, so many platforms are getting launched, but also you have to look at the factor here that piracy is also one of the factors where a lot of consumption is happening, and specifically movies here. So if you look at the film industry in terms of numbers, I think they've just come back to a recovery of 70-75% versus pre-COVID, despite, 1 year of full flow of, cinemas opened up without any kind of restrictions. So the point I'm trying to make is that, the content which is made on OTT platforms or on cinema, that is very expensive in nature, right? And that content being available free through piracy, through social media, getting circulated on WhatsApp. And also you have to remember the fact that India is a country where data cost is very, very cheap, right? So it makes it more easier for them to kind of download this kind of content or rather stream this kind of content. And plus, there are social media apps like Telegram, which is kind of made circulation far more easier. So I think all this has come in the post-COVID era. And all this has had a serious repercussion But I think this is good news that, as I say, the content cost is very expensive and it has to come behind the paywall. If you look at the trends globally, global markets are, very strong as far as the pay mechanism is concerned, whether you look at ticket pricing in terms of cinema, whether you look at OTT platform subscription service or TV subscription service. India is the only country where, the prices are very low because people are not used to paying, because people have this habit of, watching pirate content for free of cost. So I think once the restrictions are coming in there, you will see a very strong model of pay developing for the content industry, which is the need of the hour.
Okay. Mr. Lama, your view there on this aspect, because this is really important and significant. We've seen a huge, rise in the regional language content as well, be it OTT platforms or films, cinema as well. So there also, it looked like, as all of you are pointing out, a step like this perhaps would be a boost to the creative, content makers as well.
Definitely. We have seen that those VCR eras when this first time we heard or saw this piracy in India. So we have like traveled from that VCR era to like digital media. So what will happen once you have to pay on for if you want to watch something on digitally also, if you have to pay. So definitely more people will, I think they will come back to theater also. Definitely it will help theater business when if you want to pay. So if these films are not released on theater, then you can see it on OTT, and definitely the makers, the platforms, everybody will earn the money will come, the investors' money will return, they will get back their money. That is very important. And this is a right step to save our industry, to save Indian cinema. Because at present, post-COVID, as the sir said, we are going through a very bad phase. Okay. We have seen the drop in the collection in theaters. And people are expecting that, okay, let the film get released and we will see the pirated. I know many people around us also, they prefer to watch pirated things because they want to pay. So somehow we have to develop this. We have to put there in mind that, okay, pay and watch.
Pay and watch is the key aspect here. But for that, an ecosystem will have to build something which this bill is, seeking to do. But Mr. Chandra, coming back to you, as one of our panelists was earlier pointing out the global best practices or the global ways of dealing with the menace of piracy, because it's a global issue. It's not only limited to Indian film industry as well. So when we look at this bill, the amendments which are being brought in, of course, we'll get to know the details later. But in terms of, the international best practices which we are looking up to, or which we are, trying to adopt into our systems.
Piracy, of course, is a problem which has to be tackled by everybody. It is, of course, a problem which affects the film industry directly. And they, of course, are quite active. But we have always said that we would like to collaborate with the film industry. They should let us know what are the issues, what are the sites where such cinematographic content is being propagated. And we are standing with them. The thing is that along with this amendment, once it gets passed in the parliament, then it gives us a tool also to block this content and directly support the film industry in protecting their copyrights. So I think this tool which we have been using of blocking of websites, we have been using in terms of the sovereignty, integrity, protecting the sovereignty, integrity of the nation. And that will be a similar sort of a tool we will be using, and similar sort of authority we will be using for protecting the copyrights of cinematographic content. I think that should go a long way in protecting the copyrighted content which is being created. Okay. And definitely, a person who has prepared filmic content should get paid for whatever they have prepared. So that is our intention, so that this industry keeps growing and provides more and more employment to the youth of this country.
Okay, fair enough. Mr. Tarani, I'd like to bring you in here on this aspect which Mr. Chandra was mentioning in terms of what is it that the industry can do and then, work with as a collaborative approach with the policies being put in place by the government, or the ecosystems which will be put in place and which are already there to tackle the issue of piracy, one, and two, also, work on bringing more meaningful creative content to the users. As you're saying, there has been a huge change in the viewing habits in the past few years.
Right. Just to answer the second question first, I think great compelling content has to come in. Right now, what this kind of thing will also do is that it will also kind of push the producers to make more expensive content. I mean, we have seen films nowadays which are made at a budget of 500 crores, even 1,000 crores sometimes. So I think this thing will actually continue if pirated content is kind of stopped, because you actually have got more streams of monetization. So it is not only the theater or the OTT platform, but you can monetize content into multiple ways. I think because of the piracy stopping, industry can also see some kind of innovation in terms of monetization. So there are these models which is called TVOD, which is transactional video on demand, where you pay 20, 25 rupees for watching one single film. These models never took off in a country like India, because clearly the content was available free of cost, and every customer actually wanted more for less. He wanted more content for paying lesser amount of money. So this piracy curving will also kind of have this positive impact on these kind of innovative models, wherein the customer will also be open to pay that small ticket size, and on a larger scale it could lead to better monetization for the the content producer. The first question what you ask about, in terms of tackling with the industry, I think the industry has always dealt with this issue, and they have been very cooperative, but somehow we haven't seen any kind of strict law or action against people who are doing this kind of piracy. And this is not only the theater industry. I mean, theater industry is a very small fraction of the overall media industry. This is for the overall media industry, and specifically for digital. I mean, we have got platforms like Amazon, Netflix, who are spending 3,000, 4,000 crores each platform in terms of content investment. And there are many times wherein that content is also available through pirates. So my point is that if you look at the overall content investment, if you look at film industry, if you look at TV, OTT, I think we are sitting at almost about a 1.8 to 1.9 lakh crore industry. Close to 40 to 50% of this money, would be in the form of the content investments that most of these players would make. So I think there's a big money at stake here. It is not just about film content or cinema content. So I think things really needed to change, and they're moving in the right direction. Also, one big change which is going to happen here is that piracy getting blocked is, I mean, it's going to have a global impact too. Indian films or Indian content somehow haven't traveled the globe, so
Okay.
we've been very restrictive in terms of north south. It is just in the post COVID era wherein we have seen people from north actually consuming south films. So India, as we know that it's like multiple countries of its own. So because I'm saying that, because pirated content will be curbed, because you have additional monetization opportunities, you will actually see a lot of ambitious projects also coming in, because producers today don't have just India market, but they also have the international market to exploit. So definitely a very structural change for the entire ecosystem, for the benefit of the producer platform, and for the customer as well. Because I mean, I don't foresee this thing having any kind of future when content is available free. We have to take the audience, and we have to ask them to pay for content, because there is a cost attached to it.
Okay, okay. Indeed, the international market has clearly opened up in a much better way since that Oscar win for Natu Natu song as well. Now, Mr. Lama, I'd like to bring you in here as well on these two aspects before we wrap up this discussion. As a content creator, your views on this aspect of keeping pace, creators keeping pace with the way the viewing habits or the users' demand is changing here in the viewers' demands. And also, that collaborative approach which Mr. Chandra was referring to, that industry will also have to put its best foot forward to stay in tune with the policy changes and, achieve the ultimate goal of dealing with piracy.
Yeah, of course. In fact, I would say that for government is like helping us through this bill. We are really benefited, as I said, and it will be uniform, as Sir mentioned, what Apurva Chandra Sir mentioned. But I feel that if it's a same rules and regulation is a uniform, it's for everyone. It's from theater to OTT to everyone, like all the platforms. So definitely there will be uniformity. There will be, and of course, and this like. Of course, and this as Mr. Taurani mentioned, that same time through digitally we can go to global, because it's very important now. Because though we are the largest producer of films in the world, but still our content is not, whether it's not going to globally that way as expected. And of course now the way India is rising, people are getting interested in like in India, Indian culture, Indian tradition, and of course Indian cinema. I know many friends like from Germany, Russia, Israel. They all come to India and they want to work in Indian film. So truly, I will this kind of laws and this kinds of regulations will help to boost our industry not only nationally but internationally also. And it's time for us to think globally also.
Okay.
Though we are, of course, like Mr. Torani and others people they are working hard to take Indian cinema on the global level. But definitely this kind of laws are also required. This will be helpful from if government can make more this kind of law, it will definitely help us.
Okay, fair enough. Thank you so much, Mr. Lama out there, Purva Chandraji, and Mr. Torani also for sharing your valuable views and inputs with our viewers as far as the Cinematograph Amendment Bill 2023 is concerned. Specific focus on the issue of piracy. How do we deal with that? It is a global concern, as our experts were saying, but it is very important for the Indian film industry and the content creators in India so that this particular aspect is dealt with, and also the related issues of categorization of the content as per the viewers' requirement as well. So those issues will be taken care of. We will have to wait and watch when the bill is presented in the parliament by the government. Various other aspects will also come to light, and we'll keep you updated on those aspects as well. But till then, keep watching Sansad Television. We'll be back again on Monday at 1 p.m. with a new topic. Thank you.